What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today we are talking about the newest collection from ILNP. We have their After the Rain collection for fall 2025. So yes, we are rolling right into the fall collections, my favorite time of year. I always love the color schemes of fall collections, so super excited about this. But if you haven't heard of ILNP before, they are an independent nail polish brand that is based in the US, and all of their polishes are 10 free, meaning they are free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They're vegan, meaning they do not use any animal-derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty-free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. So like I said, they just released this new After the Rain collection. We've got 6 new polishes. They're all jelly shades with iridescent flakies running throughout. It's actually very similar to their somewhat recent Overcast collection, which I did review. I'll put a link up in the cards. And I appreciate that they did a little nod to it with the name, because we've got Overcast and then we've got After the Rain. So I thought that was really cute, but this time we've got a bunch of beautiful autumnal colors. So yeah, let me just dive into the swatches, and then we can talk a little bit more about pricing, availability, my thoughts on them, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the ILNP base coat. So starting off with the warmer tones, the first shade is Ginger Snap, and this one is a light brown base that is packed with iridescent flakies as well as a subtle hollow sparkle. And this one I would say is actually a little bit more leaning on the neutral side, but because it does have that jelly base, it ends up kind of taking on a little bit more of my undertone. So I am definitely on the warm tone side, and I feel like it does look a little bit warmer on me. I think if you have a cooler undertone, it's probably going to look a little bit cooler of a brown on you, but I love this shade. I thought it looked really pretty in 2 coats, but I really got that full depth of coverage in 3. I got a lot of those flakies, and I could see a lot of gold and orangey colors, and I feel like it just feels like a very fall inspired leaves falling kind of vibe to me. Next up we have the shade Raincoat, and this is definitely the warmest of the collection. This is also actually what I'm wearing on my nails right now, and this one is a really beautiful sort of orangey red kind of jelly base, and then again we are packed with the iridescent flakies as well as a subtle hollow sparkle, and this one I actually found to be really opaque, so I really loved the way it looked in 2 coats. That's what I'm wearing on my nails in the intro and outro of this video, but just to show you consistency, I am showing a 3rd coat on the nails, and I think that just makes the color of the base a little bit deeper. So if you want it to be a little bit more of a brownish tone, you can go in with more coats, but if you're just looking for opacity and that sort of orangey fall kind of color, I think 2 coats is just perfect. So love this one. Again, it just really looks like leaves falling in autumn, and I think that's so gorgeous. It's making me very excited for this time of year. I just love how warm and inviting this color is. Next up we have the shade Dark Roast, and this is where things start getting very cool toned. Now this one I would still classify as a brown, but it is definitely an ash brown kind of color, so leaning more towards the gray territory here. And again, just keep in mind I do have a warm undertone, so things are gonna read a little bit warmer on me when they have a sheer sort of base. Now this one I definitely did need 3 coats for full coverage and to get that color. It might be because of my warm undertones making it look a little bit patchy, but I always say this, I think that ILNP 3 coaters just feel like 2 coats on the nails because they do have a very thin buildable formula, so I don't mind doing 3 coats at all. I think this color is absolutely stunning, and I do like the contrast between that more neutral gray toned base and the warmer iridescent flakies, and then again it does have the scattered hollow sparkle in there. Then we have the shade Stormwatch, and this one is a light gray base, again with the iridescent flakies that shift from the orange into gold into yellow, and then we also have a subtle hollow sparkle. And I just want to take a moment because I love this color. I think it is just so perfectly soft and neutral in my eyes, and for some reason I have definitely been really enamored by gray base polishes recently, so I have a feeling that that's going to be my next color phase after this sort of reddish pink phase goes away. I think this is absolutely stunning. I loved how soft and ethereal it looked on the nails, and it definitely feels very opalescent to me. Iridescent flakies always kind of feel opalescent to me, but when you have them in a soft, not too colorful base, base, I feel like that's when it really starts to look like a precious stone. So I think that's really gorgeous. Moving on, we actually have a couple of blues in this collection as well. The first of which is Jumping Puddles, and this one is kind of a grayish sky blue base. And then again, we have the Iridescent Flakies as well as the Subtle Hollow Sparkle. And this one I thought was really pretty. It actually also gave me full coverage in 2 coats. Some of these I definitely needed the 3rd coat. Some of them I know I can get away with wearing in 2 coats, especially on my short nail length. But what I really loved about this one is that the mix of those more golden yellow flakies plus that blue base almost created a soft greenish kind of color on the iridescent flakes. And I thought that was just really pretty. It gives a very beautiful, soft, ethereal kind of vibe. It reminds me of cloudy skies, or just, well, I guess that's the name of the collection, but I was gonna say After the Rain, when the sky is starting to get like very blue again and everything looks a little bit brighter and almost surreal. I love that feeling, and that's kind of what this polish evokes for me. And last but not least, we have the shade Drizzle, which is a navy blue jelly base, again with the iridescent flakies as well as the Subtle Hollow Sparkle. And one thing I do want to note about this polish, I'm sure you've noticed this because I am in my videos, but I am a very pale person. So sometimes polishes like this, they look a little bit darker on me. And if you are not as pasty as me, they're not going to look this dark on you. So I do want to make a note. This one, for some reason in the swatch, looks a lot darker than I think it looks in real life. I think it's just because I'm very pale and it looks almost black on me. But I would say this is the type of navy blue that does not look black in low lightings. It still definitively looks blue. Again, we sort of get that very slight greenish tone that comes through from those iridescent flakies because of the color mix, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And here are all the polishes together. We have the more brown tones on top, and then we have the more blue tones on the bottom, and then of course we have that gray as well, which in my mind I consider to be more of a neutral tone. But I love this formula. I think it's one that ILNP does very well. I really love the size of the iridescent flakes that they chose for this, because some brands do tend to do more variance in size where they'll have like really huge ones and really tiny ones, but I actually really like the consistency of having a bunch of smaller iridescent flakes. I think it adds a lot of really nice dimension and color to the manicure. I also love this color story. I think it's just so perfectly evocative of the autumn time of year, and it's making me very excited for the season, which is tough to say because I love summertime, but fall is of course my favorite time of year when it comes to nail polishes, so I can't help but get a little bit excited. But yeah, overall really impressed with these. I'm showing these screenshots with 3 coats, but like I said, a couple of them I can get away with wearing in 2. So those are the polishes, and overall I really enjoyed them. I thought that this color scheme was absolutely gorgeous. I loved that mix of cooler tones along with some warmer tones, and I feel like it does have a little bit of a unique twist on it, even though it is kind of classic fall vibes. I just think it's interesting to kind of focus on the blues and browns, and it really worked out very well. The colors perform very nicely, but they also just look really beautiful together. So I always appreciate a good color story together. And like I said, I do think that these are going to be great for Skittle manicures where you have a different color on each nail, because the matching vibes are just immaculate. And one thing I do like to mention with ILNP is that their polish is on the thinner side. So when I do wear 3 coaters with their polishes, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's 3 coats on my nail. I know sometimes that can be a deal breaker for people, but I always like to mention that just because I feel like it's a different scenario. If you've ever tried ILNP, you probably know what I'm talking about, but if you're trying a thicker brand, sometimes even 2 coats feels like too much, but with ILNP, it's very buildable. So even doing 3 coats plus your top coat and base coat very much feels manageable on the nail. It really doesn't feel too thick at all, and they do dry pretty quickly in my opinion. I don't usually talk about dry time just because depending on the climate and the temperature where you live, it can vary greatly, but I do feel like even when I've lived in more humid places, I find that my ILNP polish definitely dries on the quicker side, especially with the thin layers. But yeah, now let's get into pricing and availability. All these polishes come in 12 milliliter bottles. They do feature what I like to call a medium wide flat brush. It's not too wide, but it's also not too thin, and they do actually have a flat tip. So their cream and jelly finishes come with a rounded tip, but their specialty finishes do have the flat brush. As far as pricing goes, all of these retail for $12.50 USD each on the ILNP website. website. But yeah, I'm gonna link everything down below. You can check them out if you're interested, but I'm curious to hear from you. What do you think of this collection? What do you think of the color story here? And actually, do you prefer this collection or the Overcast collection? Let me know in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. I love you all, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. I have to do a fall themed question for today because I'm feeling all the fall vibes, even though it is over 100 degrees outside and I'm very hot right now. And also the air quality is terrible, so if I sound stuffed up, that's why. It's just, I'm like sneezing nonstop. Okay, would you rather drink apple cider or a pumpkin spice latte? And this isn't one of my extreme scenarios where I'm gonna say for the rest of your life. I'll just say, which do you prefer? And for me, I would have to say I'm actually not the biggest fan of either of them. I think when it comes to fall time, I get very excited and I will have a couple of pumpkin spice lattes just to like get in the fall mood. But in general, I don't really love the taste of pumpkin spice. Ryan is a very big fan, my partner. So we do tend to have a lot of pumpkin flavored things. He's definitely a pumpkin spice latte girl. But I honestly strongly dislike apple cider. I don't know why. I feel like in my youth, I had to drink a lot of apple juice and I didn't like it as a kid, but I feel like that's all they serve you as a kid. Like when you're at lunch or, you know, in kid scenarios where you get a beverage, and I always hated it. And I just feel like apple cider is the adult version of that. And so for that reason, I don't like it. So I'm going to choose a pumpkin spice latte, but I'm curious to hear your answer. So let me know in the comments. We can chat about it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.